alcohol. However, note that you don't need to be 18 to buy food products, excluding beverages containing more than 0.5% alcohol. So don't worry, you're not breaking the law when you buy the rum and raisin ice cream when you were 12 years old. 18 is also the age that you can start your own business, as the minimum age to register a business at ACRA is 18 years old. And here's something interesting. The law has been amended since 2009 to allow 18 years old to sign most contracts in Singapore. Well, that makes sense since running a business involves lots of contracts. However, there are a few major things that 18 years old still cannot sign, usually big property transactions like leases over 3 years. Also, as an 18-year-old, you can officially get married, but you will need permission from your parents or legal guardians. You can only get married without anyone's consent when you are 21 years old. And yes, the next milestone is 21 years old.
When you are 21 years old.
As mentioned, when you are 21 years old, you don't need anyone's consent to get married. I know that because my wife didn't ask for my consent when we get married. Anyways, 21 years old is also a rather big milestone. You can finally vote, and if you want to, you can even run for elections to be a member of parliament. Also, at 21 years old, you can buy cigarettes and smoke, but of course don't do it Anyways, this policy was actually just revised since 2021, as prior to that, it was 18 years old. In addition, at 21 years old, you can enter casinos, because technically, the official minimum age for gambling is 21. But if so, why do you see this sign? Well, because for Singapore pools, the minimum age is 18 and not 21.
Wait, so the minimum age to gamble is 21 years old, right?
Yeah.
Then why Singapore pools is 18?
Singapore pools not gambling what?
Yeah, because Singapore pools is actually charity donation.
No we are kidding You see, according to the Gambling Control Act, there are a few types of gambling. So Singapore pools type is for 18 and above, while those hardcore gambling is for 21 and above. Now that you are fully adult, what's next are usually about money and health.
When you are 30 years old.
If you are looking to advertise your business in this channel, we can help you. There are guaranteed views and many big brands have trusted us. Just click on the link in the description. When you are 30 years old, please try to do your best because that's when you are going to re-register your NIRC with a new picture if you have not been issued with a replacement NIRC in the last 10 years. The interesting thing is that if you are married, you can also include your married name as well. Also, when you are 30 years old, you can be a PHV or taxi driver. Yeah, this is why you only see uncles or aunties driving PHV or taxis and not youngsters with Cao Beng cars, because there's actually an age limit for that.
When you are 35 years old.
When you are 35 years old, you have hit another milestone. You can finally buy a HDB if you are not married. Now, what you might not know is that it's not just for singles alone. You can also buy with other single friends or an unmarried partner. It's rather complicated, so if you are single and 35 years old and above, you can check out the link in the description.
When you are 40 years old.
When you are 40 years old and are a male Singaporean, you no longer need to do any reservist trainings or any NS-man duties for most people, as according to the Enlistment Act, there's a statutory age limit of 40 years old for that. It's nevertheless hard for people to still serve his NS-man duties in his late 30s since many will have completed all the reservist cycles by then, unless you defer FVICT However, this age limit is at 50 years old if you are an officer. And because you are now 40 years old and your body will now have more wear and tear, you can now join Healthier SG, whereby you can choose a regular family doctor who will advise you on your health issues, and you also have some subsidized screenings or whatnot.
When you are 55 years old.
When you are 55 years old, your kids and grandkids will suddenly be very nice to you, because that's when you can start to withdraw money from your CPF account, provided that you have a lot of money in it. Simply put, you can withdraw the excess savings in your CPF account. Now, just be mindful while your kids and grandkids might not eye your money, scammers love this money, so please look out for scammers. Also, at 55 years old, you can no longer treat others that you are young looking, because you will be re-registering your NIRC again.
When you are 60 years old.
When you are 60 years old, you are now officially a senior citizen. Not only would you be able to get the popular Purple Senior Citizen Concession Card, businesses and supermarkets will also provide discounts for you. There are more specials for senior citizens, like longer green men at traffic lights, cheaper entrance fees for attractions, and even free meals from TikTokers who want to use you as a content to show how kind they are. But you are likely still working until...
When you are 63 years old.
According to the Retirement and Re-employment Act, when you are 63 years old, you have officially hit the minimum retirement age. But interestingly, this will increase to 64 years old from 1st July 2026 and will eventually increase to 65 years old by 2030.
When you are 65 years old.
Okay, this is when you realize that all the years of the CPF deductions are all worth it. When you are 65 years old, you will start to receive money payouts from your CPF account. How much you will get depends on how much you have had in your CPF account lah. Now, there are of course more of the things that you do in different ages. I've just listed out the more important ones. If you can think of more, just indicate in the comment. In the meantime, if you want to live longer to experience all of this, you might want to stop using TikTok so that you can kind of live longer. Watch this video and you'll understand. Also, follow me on Instagram if you have not done so, as we publish exclusive short videos there, link in description. And if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Thank you for spending almost 7 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something. Do you know that Singapore used to have Primary 7 and Primary 8, and the Singapore education just kind of made a big U-turn since 2024? Yeah, because of that, a husband has just won an argument. So watch on if you're a husband. So, you see, since 2024, there's a drastic change in our education system. The new education system, known as NES, is kind of finally abolished completely, and it's now replaced by something else. Kind of lah, cause it's a long story. Now, if I say NES, you will think of this. But no lah, the NES is basically streaming and it's not just in primary school or secondary school, it's for the both of them. Before anything, here's a disclaimer. This is a very basic overview. So if you want to know more, you can actually you need to ask MOE or old folks cause research for this isn't easy and come before you Google easily one. So basically, before 1979, the education system in Singapore was very different one. There was still primary school, secondary schools and whatnot. But unlike today, whereby 98% of primary school students went to secondary school, it wasn't the case back then. In the 1970s, about 1/3 of students who went to primary school eventually did not go to secondary school. Kids were failing their exams and dropping out, with them helping out in the household expenses since they were young. Back then, a report by then Deputy Prime Minister Goh Keng Swee listed a few main problems. One is that students were speaking dialect at home, and therefore learning English and mother tongue in school was a challenge. Now remember this point first, English and mother tongue. The other problem is that the system is rigid. Students have different learning ability, so not all can cope in the same system. So the solution, streaming or NES, was introduced for both primary school and secondary school. It, as expected, faced quite a huge debate in parliament cause it's like labeling students into different classes. I tell you if it's implemented today, the woke kids are going to post countless TikTok videos to show how kind they are. Cause they didn't know that shopping malls like Boon Lay Shopping Centre, Jurong Point or Paragon exist. Or that C class, E class and S class exist. Or that the Blue Cat, Mothership and CNA exist. Yeah, so despite the argument, we can't even call it to have serious psychological impact, streaming still went on. Now, you might think that it's an EM1, EM2 and EM3 system for primary school, and the Express, Normal Acad and Normal Tech for secondary school. For secondary school, yeah, it was the Express, Normal Acad and Normal Tech that you should be familiar with, but it's not the same for primary school, and it wasn't the EM1, EM2 and EM3 system. You see, for primary school, it started with the normal stream, the extended bilingual stream, and the mono stream. At primary 3, they'll be streamed into the normal 6-year primary school education, whereby they'll learn the usual English and mother tongue. But if they pass primary 2 and fail at primary 3, then they'll still study English and mother tongue, but will study until primary 8, which was then known as the extended bilingual course. But if they fail in both primary 2 and primary 3, then they'll go for a more stream, which focuses on both literacy and numbers, and they will also study until primary 8. Now, this obviously caused a lot of arguments among people, but this also leads to husband winning. Cause the idea of this video is sparked by a viewer who quarreled with her husband. The husband claimed that there used to be primary 7 and primary 8, but because there were not much reliable info online anywhere about primary 7 and primary 8, and so the wife thinks she has won. Jasmine knew, not all wife correct one, you both.
Why did you ring when I was on my way home?
Hey, sorry, my fault that you actually ring on your way home, sorry. Yeah, so this normal, extended, and mono stream, which some people like to call it the primary 8 stream, was changed to the EM1, EM2, and EM3 system in 1991. Now, this is why EM actually stands for English and Mother Tongue. Since remember, the streaming is kind of to split students who can handle two languages or just basic literacy. So, EM1 was for students who could use English and Mother Tongue as first languages. EM2 was for students who use English as a first language and Mother Tongue as a secondary language. While EM3 was for students who use English as first language and mother tongue to be just for basic literacy. In fact, there's even ME3, whereby it's the opposite, in which the mother tongue is the first language and English is just for basic literacy. With that, all primary school students will only study until primary 6, regardless of EM1, EM2 or EM3. Now, here's the thing, despite how bad it looks, how it widens the social class and how it makes people say,
"Get out of my eerie, uncaring face."
Based on numbers, it has worked very well. I mean, other than the fact that almost every kid in Singapore is schooling nowadays, compared back in the days when dropouts and failures were common, it has also earned Singapore the reputation as a world-leading education system. Nevertheless, the entire system eventually slowly removed streaming, from removing streaming in primary school in 2008 and removing streaming in secondary school from 2024 onwards. Instead, subject-based banding, or you can call it subject-based learning, is now the key. And therefore, after 45 years, the streaming system has now made a U-turn back to how it was kind of like. Will it work? We'll have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, there are actually people who think that they are in EM1 when they unknowingly do EM3 actions instead. Watch this video and you'll know if you're one of them. And also, thank you for spending about 5 minutes with me. I really appreciate it.
Tonight I have to do English paper and math paper.
How long will that take you?
Around 2 hours.
If you had a wish where you could do one thing a bit more each day, what would that be?
More sleep.
Singapore tops international leaderboards when it comes to learning. So I'm here in a Singaporean tuition class and I'm about to find out whether I'm smarter than a 9-year-old Singaporean student. I can tell you I am not confident at all.
Okay, so 3/5 is the same as how many then?
This question would have many Australian adults scratching their heads, but for these Year 3 students, it's child's play.
Ready, set, go.
Finish.
Done. No.
Still continue to do? You didn't draw them. You didn't draw.
I feel like I've missed a fundamental, something fundamental's missing, and mine doesn't have as many boxes as the other kids. The approach these kids are using is called modelling, and it's just one of the unique methods of learning built into their curriculum. I'm getting a little bit of a taste of just how competitive the Singaporean education system is. I'm falling way behind my peers, and the pressure is real. I'm here to find out exactly what it is about the Singaporean school system and the culture that generates such smart kids.
Hi, Lume. Good to see you.
Janice Peterson,
Hi.
lovely to meet you. I'm meeting one of the key architects of the mathematics curriculum for the Ministry of Education. Singapore's developed a reputation as having the best education system in the world. How did that come about?
Well, education has always been allocated the second highest budget. With a small nation that has no agriculture, very small land, no natural resources, we can only invest on the mass of the size of a fist that is in the head, which is the brain.
A program of educational expansion with its accent on science and technology is vital to maintain and improve the living standards of the people of Singapore.
Founding father Lee Kuan Yew transformed the country from poverty to prosperity in a single generation by focusing on its human resources. Lou May says the government has always invested heavily in education.
Right from decolonization days in the 60s, we need to build people with skills who can work in the factories, who can work in the offices, and a large part of investment has been put into education.
It's always been about long-term social and economic planning.
As educators, we are not educating our children for today, not for tomorrow. We are educating them for the future economy in 20 years' time. And that's pretty much what the Ministry of Education has to do often, to look into the crystal ball to what is necessary and what is needed for the future generation.
I'm on my way to a class where the focus is very much on learning for the future. It's Saturday morning here in Singapore, and while most Aussie kids might be hitting the sporting fields, these 4-year-olds are attending robotics class. The little ones experience maths through play.
It selects either this area or this area.
But the older kids are here expanding their maths comprehension in preparation for the big national exam that takes place at the end of Year 6, called the PSLEs. How do you feel about coming here on a Saturday morning?
I'm usually quite excited to come as I will want to do a lot of building and programming.
So tracking the line, first line, second line.
A student's PSLE score determines which secondary school they'll go into. High scorers qualify for the top academic schools, while low scorers find themselves in schools geared towards vocational training. This system of streaming can put a lot of pressure on kids and their families.
Okay, understand?
Echo. Stop.
One of Singapore's best and brightest is about to start his day.
Stop.
12-year-old Ishan is in full throttle PSLE preparation mode.
Morning.
A routine that starts at the crack of dawn.
So Ishan will normally wake up around 6:40, 6:45. After that, she eat breakfast.
This has not been marked, you know.
9:20.
Let me see how many marks you have for your compo. 9 out of 15? Wow, that's quite a lot of mistake, right? Why did you start with A? Okay, we'll go through when you come back.
Then around 7 o'clock, I will then fetch him to school,
You got everything?
drop him off.
Wait for me. Okay. Bye. Bye. Have a great day.
Wait, what's this?
School
When we
ends
let
about
in,
1:30.
they're in like this. When we let in, bring in chaos. When we trusted, one we betrayed. One
He
who
will be back
betrayed.
home by about 1:45.
Dang, that's deep, man.
What happens when you die?
You have to take a quick lunch
That's deep.
before we rush him down to his science
No,
tuition.
wait, no, not that
that
deep.
starts at 2:30. Science
What's this?
tuition ends at
Wait, what?
4:30.
Log 193. They have
And
gone
then we
bad
have to rush
when we
him
did not
down
offer enough to
his
them.
usual
They
drama
put us
class
against
from
each
5
other.
to 7.
That's
Hey
deep,
boys, warm
man.
up. Please roll your lip.
Johnny Depp.
Let's have dinner. Yeah.
Hey, this looks great.
Yeah.
After a quick family meal,
Yeah.
it's more studying.
Tonight I have to do English paper and also math paper.
How long will that take you?
Around 2 hours for all of them to combine.
And then what about these ones here?
This is extra study, so if I am free, I can do them for extra revision.
Okay, but it's getting late already, so you probably don't have time for those. Why are the PSLE exams such a big deal?
So it's really frightening, so everyone wants to move on to a good school to get a better job, and it is worthwhile for the long run. I can see a lot of my friends like scrambling, doing work, and say they don't have any time to play.
Where do you think that pressure comes from?
I think it comes from our teachers, friends, family, and can get very stressful when everyone is looking at you, thinking that you can score really well.
And if you had a wish where you could do one thing a bit more each day, what would that be?
More sleep.
So when does he wrap up? When's sleep time?
So sleep time is around 10:45 to 11. Yeah, that's quite normal for a single kid.
Supporting a child's education is like a second job for many Singaporean parents, and Mum Janice and Dad Tian are no exception.
Guess it's our way of life. We have a full-time job. When we come back, we still have to make sure that we look through the children's work and to help them to the best of our ability.
This way of life is deeply rooted in Singaporean parenting, and it's called kiasu. Can you tell me what a kiasu parent is?
It's a
Afraid.
Chinese dialect, yeah.
It's a Chinese side, afraid to lose. So when it comes to our children, when we say that we are kiasu parents, it has a negative connotation. It usually refers to parents that go all out to push their children regardless of whether the children is stressed or not, to go for the best in terms of everything. They are afraid to lose at the expense of their children's health, their children's mental state, stress level.
Yeah. If you take a step back though, do you think the balance is right?
That's a good question. Balance between work and play. I would say that there is a season
In a
for
time
everything.
that I completed this,
I would say that right now the balance is a bit off. You just have to suffer a little bit more,
I don't
and think
know,
of the
I'm just
bigger
not gonna
gain
fuss at all.
again at the end of the examination.
this is
Okay, a truck carried some fruits. 2/7 of the fruits are durians. Okay, how many likes durians? It stinks. Come on, are you Singaporeans?
To prepare for their big exams, 70% of kids here attend after-school tuition classes. These 12-year-olds are learning advanced algebra.
Okay, tell me, how many units for durians? 14. Excellent.
Leading today's class is Ishan's mum, Janice. She's a former school teacher and now owns one of Singapore's largest maths tuition companies. So what's the secret then to the success of Singapore's education system?
I personally felt that the secret lies with the way we teach in Singapore, which moves away from rote learning to more critical thinking.
If the education system here in Singapore is so well planned and thought out, why is tuition necessary?
So one of the key principles in our Singapore education is leave the bottom but not cap the top. So in line with this principle, I feel that the tuition industry plays a supportive role. Tuition centres are privately owned. They can cater their curriculum to differentiated learning levels. If I have a weaker students, I can actually offer tuition on a one-to-one basis to help the child bridge certain learning gaps. If I have a stronger students learning in a group, we can help them achieve their fullest potential.
yeah, I'm good, buddy. Yeah.
Here is our wall of testimonials. It shows that our students truly improved after they have attended our lessons.
I see, look at A plus.
Yes! Would you want to send your kid here?
First time playing
You're
insane.
getting the results, Janice.
Yeah. And of course,
But in this tuition centre, kids aren't the only ones going to school. Do some of the parents sit in on the class?
we actually have a debrief session for parents after lessons like what you can see here. It takes a village to raise a child. So they are going in to listen to what the teacher has taught for the day and how they can go back to assist their children further.
So that's a bit of pressure on the parents as well.
Of course. It's pressure everywhere. It's a competition.
I am cooked.
I'm interested
My
to
goal is
find
to
out
just beat
more
the golems
about what's at
first,
stake in this
and then
competition.
the
So I'm
skeletons.
visiting a Singaporean high school.
And then from there I can
If
just
kids score low
escape.
in their PSLEs, they might end up at a school like this one, with a focus on vocational training.
Oh, never mind, I'm just gonna heal
Students here
first.
are prepping for jobs in the retail or hospitality industries. Many of the 12-year-olds sitting for their PSLEs and their parents would
Ready?
consider placement in a school like this failure. This is because of the
You
stigma
survive-
around
if you survive
non-academic
this, you're a winner.
pathways.
If you don't survive this,
14-year-old Ria has a
you're not a
different
loser.
take on it.
you're just only
Looks
winning.
like a cafe to me, but we're actually at school, aren't we?
Yeah.
What the fuck, bro?
Okay.
What the actual fuck?
Where we
How did I have any time to react at all?
and practice
It's okay though, I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Okay.
My experience with PSLE wasn't very well. I'll get teased and I just didn't want to be in such an environment.
Sure. But that test is quite important, isn't it?
It's quite important. But I went for the test, but I didn't.
I can like do this with a buddy or something. I don't know.
Look where it brought me.
Do you feel like you've found your enjoyment of learning again?
Definitely. Yeah, I enjoy coming to school. I don't dread it as much as I used to.
Okay.
I really enjoy coming to see my teachers.
I think insane is not really for solos lah. It's like more for duos or maybe even trios lah.
Took the pressure off Ria and allowed her to re-examine what she wants out of her education. This school is part of the moving landscape of education in Singapore, shifting focus to preparing students for jobs in the real world. Coming up, Aussie teachers learn from the best.
I'm actually really curious around the way in which they develop such great standards. What do they actually do in classrooms?
But is there a hidden cost to Singapore's success?
Most of the time I spend laying on my table.
I think I'm just seeking for help. I didn't even hear this.
I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety.
Okay, bro.
As Singapore continues to excel at education, how does Australia stack up? The World Cup of Academics is the PISA study, the program for international student assessment. The last assessment was in 2015 and Singapore was the top of the leaderboard across 3 subjects: maths, reading and science. In comparison, Australia came out significantly lower, coming 25th in maths, 16th in reading and 14th in science, well behind other OECD nations like Estonia, Poland and New Zealand. So how has Singapore climbed to the top, especially in vital STEM subjects, while Australia continues to fall behind? In Singapore, students are taught by specialised maths teachers from Year 3 onwards. In Australia, specialised teaching doesn't start until high school, but there's a chronic shortage of maths teachers. In fact, less than 1 in 4 high school kids in Australia are actually taught by a qualified maths teacher. So, what can Australia do to catch up? To find out, some of Australia's best teachers have come to Singapore to see exactly what makes its school system the best in the world. Denise Lofts wants to see what she can take home to her classroom in Ulladulla, New South Wales.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm actually really curious around the way in which they develop such great standards. What do they actually do in classrooms? And of course, how do they leverage technology?
This trip is part of a prize the teachers have won for showing innovation in learning in their own Aussie schools. Their first stop is the Nan Chau Primary School. PSLE preparation is in full swing and the pressure is palpable.
So, who's doing your PowerPoint?
Denise and the teachers are observing a science class with close to 40 students getting ready for their big exams.
This is what we have done last lesson, okay?
Every student has a device on their desk and are all connected to a special system run by the school.
It's interesting seeing so many kids with their own phones on the table.
We're not really used to that in Australia, are we?
Definitely not in primary school.
Now, click the start button. This is individual, not group work yet.
And I notice now that the teacher's talking, the kids have turned their devices around to face the front of the room.
Yeah, and I observe that as a really fantastic tactic for engagement, so that the students are well tuned into the teacher, and they're all listening to her. No one's on a device while she's speaking.
With our cameras in the room, I'm sure these students are on their best behaviour today. But we're told students in general show a great deal of respect for their teachers. They show a desire to learn, and there are not many disruptions. And this respect for teachers is seen across the social spectrum. Only applicants from the top 30% of graduates are accepted into a teaching degree. It pays well and is considered an elite role, on par with a profession in management or accounting. Here in Singapore, we're talking about the top 30% of graduates that become teachers. So that's very different.
Oh, actually, that was, it was interesting when we started talking when we first arrived. You know, they said the pay is this and you get the bonuses. But having spent time in the schools, they're very hardworking and teachers are very much appreciated. Their profile within the community is high. Wouldn't that be great in our own country if that was the desire, like, you know, that we were making the choices that, yes, you get to take the top 30%.
Denise is impressed by the well-resourced classrooms and quality teaching staff, but she has concerns about the high-pressure exams at such a young age.
In my research, high-stakes testing is of concern. Often it's just a way of measuring, and it's really a long way away from learning and from improving. And I see that these, you know, they're preparing for these tests that happen at the end of primary school, for them then to choose a path beyond into secondary school. I'm not sure how that would work in our system, and I believe that must put a lot of pressure on the schools, on the teachers, and on the principals.
For Charmaine, the relentless pressure to succeed in the PSLEs had devastating consequences.
My name is Charmaine. I'm 17 this year. So school was something I struggled with a lot, and something I've struggled with since I was like super duper young. I think it's just the kind of environment that you're in. Too much pressure.
Even though Charmaine made it into the top academic stream, she says she struggled to keep up.
I kind of developed a fear of failure, like a really, really intense one.
So it sounds like it didn't bring the best out of you.
Yes. It did not bring the best out of me. So I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I missed a lot of school, and most of the time I spent laying on my table, not listening, or like, you know, crying, maybe in like the toilet hiding. I think it got really, really low when I felt like I would never have a future ever again.
In 2018 alone, the Samaritans of Singapore, the country's leading mental health NGO, saw a 56% rise in young people asking for help. Hello, lovely to meet you. Today, with the support of her mum, Charmaine is doing much better. She's a student at a polytechnic academy and believes that doing well academically shouldn't come at a cost. Thank you. It's such a lovely place you've got here.
Oh, what
I think that even though we are a leader in education, I think that we can do a lot better. And I think relieving the pressure on children does not mean that we will necessarily lose that position. In fact, it might just further cement us in that spot, you know, in that #1 spot.
So is there a wider conversation happening around mental health for school kids?
I think that there has been more awareness recently. I'm really, really thankful for that. We are slowly but surely normalizing it, and I think that with my generation, a lot will change for the better.
Do you feel like you've got your little girl back?
Yes, very much. And I'm very thankful. Maybe a little bit too much.
Singapore is coming to realise that even though it's #1, there's still room for improvement. Recently, the government announced some changes to the streaming system.
28 secondary schools will start piloting full subject-based banding from next year.
Instead of sending 12-year-olds into education streams based on their PSLE results, secondary students will be able to choose from a mix of subjects at different levels of difficulty based on their changing abilities.
Every school is a good school, and now let's make every class a good class.
But for Ishan, exams are looming. The changes to Singapore's streaming won't happen in time to spare him from sitting his PSLEs. He's up to his ears in study at just age 12. Put it this way, a lot of kids in Australia have a lot of free time in comparison to you. So they do a lot of things outdoors. They might do soccer or gymnastics. How would you feel about doing more of that stuff?
I feel that if we have enough time to finish all the homework that we are supposed to do in class, I think it's acceptable that we can have a little bit more free time during the day and play with our friends too and spend time with our family.
We would want to give our children many opportunities to be successful, and we have to balance that between pushing them, monitoring their stress level, and knowing when to let go. So we want to stress on responsibility, on being hardworking, diligence. Yeah, because I believe that these are the values that will bring our children far in life. Yeah, it's not just the academic results.
Back in Australia, a few weeks on from the Singapore teachers' trip, Ulladulla principal Denise Lofts is putting what she learned overseas into practice.
I reckon that looks cool. Is that the one that's off?
Oh, this one's...
Yeah, We don't always recognise talent well. In actual fact, finding our gifted and talented students, sometimes they're hidden